Hey everyone, welcome to the tech capital of the world, Curtisville, North Carolina. My name is Bobby Davis, the founder of Coder Foundry. Hey Kevin, did you see the Super Bowl Sunday? Did you see the trailers, the halftime show?
I saw the whole thing from the very beginning till the end.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
I did.
halftime show was good,
I
but
love the
dude, did
halftime
you
show.
see the Doctor Strange trailer? I think that's what stole the
That
show
was
there.
that
I
was
mean,
like
like,
your highlight, wasn't it? The Doctor
yeah,
Strange,
exactly. It's
like
like
of all the
I was in there
things.
watching it. It came on before the game, and people were talking to me like, "Oh, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up! Everyone, be quiet." Doctor Strange is coming on, so watch it. And like, so Jean-Luc Picard is in the movie. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, like, so now MCU, and so now we have the Illuminati, we have Marvel Zombies confirmed,
Yep.
and now Tony Stark, Superior Iron Man, played by Tom Cruise. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than that.
It's, that's just your wish list item, isn't it? That's like your. Come on, bring on Tom Cruise.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we need to see Tom Cruise in Iron Man armor running. I mean, that's just my epicness. That'd be kind of cool.
Yep, yep. I
So
said
I
we
don't
need to
know. We'll
bring
see.
Idris Elba back in as something because he's one
Yeah,
of
it could be
my
cool.
favorite actors. He could come in as something else. We'll talk about this. The multiverse can be anything, right? So anybody can be
Yeah,
anybody now. We can
right.
recast Iron Man if we want. We can recast anybody. Like
Exactly.
like why not?
But if you're going to upstage Robert Downey Jr. and you're going to make a superior Iron Man, there's only a few actors on the planet that you could do. So I
Yeah,
mean, Tom
yeah.
Cruise, right there, it wins.
That's it.
It's a winner. He wanted to be Iron Man earlier, but he just didn't work out for him. So
So now it could. Yeah. No.
him and Nicolas Cage.
There was a lot of stuff Super Bowl. I loved the halftime show.
Yeah.
I thought it was epic. But I'm of an age where it should be epic for me, I guess too. So it's like that was
Exactly.
great. It's kind of funny because I saw a bunch of memes about it being like people were being like, you used to watch a Super Bowl when you're young, and it's like they've got like Bruce Springsteen and like these guys are like, wow, it's like Boomer Central, and it's like, hold on a second,
Yeah,
like
I saw one.
yeah.
I saw one. He says, "I finally watched a Super Bowl, and they made music for young people like me." And then I realized Dr. Dre is 54.
Right. You're like, hold on a minute,
He's
hold on a
literally been
minute.
doing music
This
for
is
30 years.
yeah,
So
nothing's changed. I'm just old. Like
exactly.
yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff in there in the trailers too. So there was the Marvel stuff that was in there. We got the Lord of the Rings thing too, which I didn't
Yeah,
know was going to be there.
yeah.
That looked really good.
Moon
Tons of
Knight
CGI
trailer.
stuff there. Moon Knight trailer, yeah, which I'd already
Yep.
seen. I think they've released that before, right? I think I saw that before the Super Bowl, right? Was
Yeah.
it
They
was it a
added
different
some
trailer?
new.
Different
They
trailer,
had
yeah,
some
yeah,
new stuff in it, and
yeah.
if people don't know this, but I do collect some comics, and I do have the first 20 issues of Moon Knight. I've had them since the 80s,
That's
so
awesome.
it's pretty cool.
I have one
So
Moon Knight trade. I don't know which one it is, and I have read it a couple of times, but it's good. It's good. I like
yeah,
the character. Should be interesting. Should be interesting. What else? Obviously, Super Bowl ads were like
yeah.
dominated this year by a couple of categories: electric vehicles,
Crypto.
and crypto. Right? Those were the two
Yeah,
things. Both technology
yeah,
things. Both technology stuff. It's like everybody's building an electric car now. I wrote them down. We had Kia, GM, Nissan, BMW, Chevy. Everybody's car commercial this year, I think, with the exception of maybe Toyota, they had
I
their
didn't see
truck.
Ford on there either. I'm
I didn't see
surprised they
Ford on
didn't
there
show
either. I'm surprised
The
either,
Mach
but
E.
I don't know if I missed that one. I don't think I did. I don't think it was there,
Yeah,
but everybody else did.
yeah,
Whether they be the electric trucks or cars, the BMW looked amazing. The Kia looked really good. Like I was like,
yeah,
wow, it's a Kia. It looks really good. Like, I was
yeah,
impressed. Everybody had a commercial for it. It was like, wow, and everybody went the electric vehicle route. Obviously, these big car companies always put car commercials on during the Super Bowl. It's like one of their bread and
right.
butter like staples to have one. They always put
Yeah,
out a new commercial. But the fact that everybody went electric this year was kind of interesting.
yeah,
It makes you think that there's more electric cars than there are because I saw a stat afterwards. It was like it only accounts for 9% of sales. Like
yeah. I mean,
right now,
it's
it
kind of
does.
like the subcompact market where you see them all on there, and they do that
Yeah,
for emissions. They're
yeah.
still selling trucks and FUVs like crazy in the U.S. So,
Right, right.
um, so I don't know how much they'll really sell next year,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're coming. They're building the charging stations. The charging network is the
That's the
big
thing.
restrictor
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, that's the thing. Once the infrastructure's there, it's like it's kind of game over for,
Yeah.
for for gas vehicles. I think.
Yeah, well, there's the convenience factor. We'll see if they can make them charge faster. I mean, you can
Yep.
fill up a gas in like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
whereas I mean, like they're building like event stations around these things where you can go hang out, get food, watch a movie, while
Yeah.
your stuff is charging up for 2 hours. So
I
like
think
if
that's
you're
the
on a
two
long road
problems
trip,
right now. Yeah, infrastructure, just the fact that they're not quite there yet in the volume they need to be. They're definitely nowhere near gas station level, which is where they need to be ultimately. And then secondly, like you said, the time it takes to charge matters.
Yeah.
You don't want to sit there.
Right.
You imagine going to a gas station and sit there for like an hour. It's like that sucks. That experience is good.
And then we'll see though, like is there another technology that leaps electric cars? And so I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think so. Not in the short term.
How
anyway.
future proof? Like gas has been future proof for like 50 years. So like
it has. Yeah. It has.
It seems like electric cars may not be future proof. I don't know. Maybe some other thing.
Maybe.
That comes out.
Maybe. I don't know. But for me,
like as long as the dongle can pick in and charge it, whatever that is, if you have nuclear or whatever it is. So.
Exactly. The power part doesn't matter. It's how it's running in the car. That's the thing, right? It's like, I do love the idea. For me and my use case, it's perfect. I'm not going on like giant road trips. I can see having, we're a 2-car household, so my wife has a car and I have a car. I can see, at least for the interim, having a gas car and an electric car. And, if you're just going around to the other side of Kernersville, you go in the electric car. If you go in, to another state, you're driving down to Florida, you probably take the gas car. It's more convenient. So,
but the thing I like the commercial. My top favorite commercial is probably the Larry David commercial about crypto, where like he had always predicted the wheel and said nah, and they went through all the thing. I thought that was funny, and then he's like nah, crypto, nah. So.
Yeah, the bunch that was kind of the second category, wasn't it? The crypto stuff. The Coinbase commercial got a lot of people talking. It's the one that I saw talked about the most, bar any.
Yeah.
And it was literally a floating QR code.
And so I was watching it with my dad. My dad says, "What is that?" I said, "It's a QR code," and he goes, "What's it for?" I said, "Well, you have to scan it and click on it, and it'll take you to a website." And he goes, "Are you doing that?" I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not like just going to scan it and go to whatever URL. They're like, Dad, come on. I'm not doing that. So, of course it does show you a preview, but like, man, just think of a way to hack somebody, man. Just like,
well, it's funny you talk about that. First thing, Hashim, if you're watching, we watch this at any point.
QR codes are back.
QR codes for the win, man. They're back. They never went away. He always told me QR codes are going to fail. They're not right, but QR codes for the win. I always said they were there. There's a Super Bowl QR code now. But secondly, I saw a story a few weeks back where QR code hacking was a thing. So in certain cities where, when you go to, like, you go into a city and you go to a parking spot, right, on the generally street parking, and they have an app, right? So you pay on an app. Like, where was it? Savannah was this way, right? So I'm down to Savannah, Georgia, on the coast there. And if you're parking on the street, they have an app. So you don't pay at a pay station, you pay on an app, right? You can say, I'm in space number 137, and you pay the app, right? What people were doing were sticking a sticker QR code over the thing that was a spoofed website. You're going to that website, you're giving them your credit card details, and they were ripping you off.
Yeah. So it's really a play on, like, as you know, in a former life, I did a lot of fraud company. But one of the things that we'd find out with credit card fraud is people would try to put overlays on the swiper itself. They would come in and do it real quick and have these plugins, and they would capture all the cards
skimmer.
like that.
I've seen that.
A skimmer.
I've
so now you replaced it with a QR code. Now they just have to print up, a giant sticker, and they just go pop, and then they've skimmed it. They don't even have to make technology anymore. It becomes cheaper and easier to do.
It's basically a phishing website. You set up a website, looks just like the original one, just takes your credentials, says, you've paid for that parking spot. Before you know, you've come back. Not only have you got a ticket on your car because you didn't actually pay, now your credit card's been rung up for whatever amount of money now too. And it's like,
you just bought 3 iPads,
Exactly, exactly. So be wary of QR codes in public that take you to a website. That's what I'm saying. I do love the idea of
the ones on television commercials. I mean, just not. I was like, that's what I thought of immediately. Like, there's no way I'm clicking on that. I don't know what it is.
That is funny. That is funny.
But also the other commercial I saw was Jim Carrey with 5G. I thought that was interesting.
Yes.
And then how far 5G has come now, where we've got a wireless hotspot, where we used to do this with our phone to try to hack the internet, basically use our now they're just saying,
bring it home.
Just put the hotspot in there, and you don't even have to like run wires in your house, and it's 5G, which is, if you want to know that's can be gig download, 2 gig
Yeah.
download. It's pretty fast.
Yeah, that's talking gigabit
depending
speeds
on where you live. You know, so
Yes.
it doesn't exist here. And the tech capital world is kind of lagging in this infrastructure department. We really don't have 5G in Kernersville, even though you can buy 5G phones. It doesn't exist yet. So working on it.
Which sucks because I put in my address. I'm thinking like if I can get rid of cable internet, which I would love to do because it's like a monopoly where I am. They can charge me literally whatever they like, and I have no choice. Right,
Exactly.
out of these over-the-air options now, and this is a great over-the-air option with great speeds. They give you the hardware. It's on Verizon. You get bundles if you have like phone plans with them and stuff as well. It's like this is genius. I'm excited for this to come out everywhere.
The cool thing is you don't have to bring an installer out. Like if you want fiber put into your home, you gotta bring a installer out. They gotta run a fiber cable from the road, and then you got to get a modem and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Now you just bring this cube and just drop it wherever you want it.
Yeah, it's plug and play. And the reviews that I've seen so far are if you have good signal, this thing is solid and it's great.
Yeah, I don't know what the latency on this is. I'd like to interesting.
I haven't seen that either. Yeah. I do need to look at that. Yeah, like because that matters from a gaming perspective, right? If you got bad latency and you got a bad ping, gaming's gonna suck. Exactly. If you're pinging like 100, like it's gonna be a bad experience, right?
Yeah.
If you can get like a 20 ping, you're golden.
Yeah, when I get my next flawless trials run, I want to make sure that I got good ping. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing they tend not to talk about in their marketing, because I did read through some of their marketing, and I was like, they don't really talk about the speeds either, because they say up to gigabit, because obviously they're different across the board depending on what your signal is. It's not like cable where they just say you'll get 100, right? And they guarantee 100 because through a cable they're actually limiting it to 100, right? It can go way faster than 100. So or a gigabit, and they're limiting it to that. That's not a technological cap. It's an artificial cap. Whereas with this, they seem to be, it's whatever you can get based on the network. So.
And fiber's a little different. Fiber is it's a little different technology. It is more kind of robust probably in the latency department and the actual speed department than this 5G. But I mean, for ease of install, if you're just surfing the web, it's probably really, really, really good. I mean, like,
I
watching
think so
Netflix,
too.
Probably gonna work flawless for that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So
I think that's the thing, right? So Kevin says Starlink would be nice right now. I'm not Viasat. Viasat is trash. Oh, look at that. This is getting a 600 ping. I mean, that's unusable, right? I mean, that's just like, for me, that would be unusable. You're not getting in
the League of Legends match with that.
No, you're going to get kicked from servers playing games. They're just going to be like, hey, your ping's too high.
Yeah. Your lag switcher.
Kind of crazy. Look at this though. This proves your point. Like the QR, I did see this too. The Coinbase commercial. So many people went to their site that it crashed the site. So that shows you how many people did click on that QR code and how much that is like. That's going to be a QR code linking is going to be a security issue.
I don't understand this. Like to this day, I don't understand that you run that commercial. You're paying $1 million for the commercial for 30 seconds. It may have been more. I don't know. It may have been 5 million. And then your website isn't on like AWS or something that scales automatically.
Right.
Like, what are we doing, man? Like, what are we? If I was owning that company, I would have been calling people like, what are we doing? I just dropped $5 million on a commercial and you can't get the website to come up. I mean, dude, did we not test this? I mean, like, that's crazy.
I wonder what that means. I wonder how many visitors they had and what that like capacity was. Is there a way to handle any capacity?
No, the average users for watching a Super Bowl. You can get those stats. So you know that, okay, in this minute, we're in a spike of 42 million. So like, then there could be multiple people in the QR rooms, like, so we're going to need 42 to 55 million. Can we do that? You QA test for it. You can run a load balance for it. Can we bring the homepage up? I mean, like, you should have had a straight static landing page at least. I mean, like,
right. I don't know where it went. I didn't click on the link.
Yeah, I didn't either. There's no way I'm doing it, but like,
just so you know, I wasn't one of those customers. So
those things would drive me insane if I was doing that. Like,
I'm assuming they would have thought that through. Though it had to be a static landing page, right? Some kind of
I would think.
literally like a landing page with a thing on it that just says join Coinbase or something. I mean, I would guess. I don't know, but I could go back.
Maybe
and
they're
scan it, I guess,
hosting it
but it's
with
still up.
their Verizon 5G hotspot. Maybe that's what happened. So.
Maybe it's some dude in his basement. He's hosting it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, man, I don't know. We just this is how we do Coinbase. Like, why would we do it any different? Just because Super Bowl commercial up. Shows you these companies have a lot of money too, though. Because the Super Bowl commercials, you know, you're running with the Pepsis and the Fords, and you know we're talking millions of dollars for a few seconds. So they're making plenty of money to have a Super Bowl commercial. Does North Carolina have Google Fiber? I don't think. Well, we don't around here, do we?
So Spencer, I think that project was discontinued. So funny story. I worked on a locating company that did locating for different things, which means that they go out under the ground and locate
like underground cables.
Where they can bury fiber. One of the customers at that point they were working on was Google, but I think that project's been abandoned in North Carolina. I don't think that Google was very successful in rolling it out.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at their thing now. Look, actually.
Yeah.
So Charlotte is one of the places in North Carolina that has it, and then it looks like
that's there may be the triad. They were
triangle.
doing it.
So there was the Triangle and Charlotte. So we were the only part of North Carolina that didn't have it at one point. And then Des Moines, Iowa coming soon. But I think this list has been this way for a long time now.
Yeah, but there's other providers in North Carolina. Obviously, here in the office here, we're in Kernersville. We have fiber here in the office here, 100 gig up and down. So
just through a different provider, right? It's like it is an option.
There's several providers that are out there.
Yeah, just not Google. All
right, cool. Well, ask us a question if you want to. If you got a burning question, anything you want to ask me about Super Bowl commercials.net, SQL.
Alex,
you know, we did hear about it, Tech Rally. You beat us to the punch. We were going to.
Because look, I have it ready. I promise you this.
We had it ready. Yes. We did hear about that. We were talking about it right before we went live and said, hey, we got to plug Outside the Code. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Yep. So there you go. Alex put out his first episode of Outside the Code. Go check it out. You can go on his Twitter. He has it both on YouTube. He has it on Spotify. He has an Apple Podcast. So I'm guessing he has it wherever you can get your podcast at. Go listen.
Yeah, and he's got that smooth radio quality to his voice. Anyway.
You just listened to a sample, right? You didn't listen to the whole thing yet.
Yeah,
okay.
Not yet.
No,
I just found it like 10 minutes ago.
Okay, but I will later. Yeah, go check out Alex's shiny new podcast, Outside the Code.
Outside the Code with Tech Rally.
I like the name. I like the design here too, Alex. It's good stuff.
I do. I like that. I do like the way it worked.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
So on the other Twitter big news was Mr. Beast is looking for production people. I think we should throw our name in the hat. I mean, surely that they'll hire us, right? So
he must have. He's hiring Spielberg's knocking down his door at this point. You know what I mean? Like he has enough money to pay for Hollywood talent. He's not looking for somebody in North Carolina who works on YouTube. He's like, make me a movie.
Us, man. He says online video production. We do it, Kevin. We make it every Tuesday and Thursday.
Sure.
So we can do it.
I'm not sure we have what Mr. Beast is looking for. Just a guess. Just a guess. But, maybe. Yes, do some questions. I do have some queued up already.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, look, Alex is inviting you to be a guest on his podcast too, so need to set that up.
Oh, I'll do it. Just send me a thing, get the details to Kevin. I'll do it for sure.
Yeah,
love to talk to you about whatever.
Yeah, send it to me, Alex. I'll hook it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, give us a quick maybe a sub if you want to give us a sub. We're closing in on 80,000 subs, so if you want to give us a and a sub, we'd love it.
We're gonna do something when we hit 80.
When we hit 80,000, we're gonna announce something.
We're gonna do something at 80.
So we're gonna do something. Hopefully big.
Let's cue some questions up here. Let's see. I like this one because I see this chatted about a lot on tech Twitter.
Yeah.
So my daily life for you. Hi there. Is Web 3.0 really worth the hype? Even though we are in Web 2.0, it looks futuristic enough with all the current technology.
So here's what I think. Keep in mind what your goals are. So I was following someone on Twitter the other day. They said, I'm going to send out 100 emails, 10 per day, to every Web 3.0 CTO until I get a job in Web 3.0. That's my goal. All right. And then I went and looked at his Twitter profile. I couldn't find a portfolio. I couldn't find anything. whether he'd done anything. He just wants to work in a Web 3.0 company. So I think it's not hype. I just don't think it is as big as people are making it out to be. Now, is crypto big? Yes. Is NTFs kind of big? Yeah. How many jobs are in and around these technologies are there? Like, so that's where Web 2.0, what we want to think of as like the previous version of the web. It's really not. It's the current version of how we build things. And Web 3.0 is really an extension of what we're going to do, more like an underlying technology. It's not really going to like take over Web 2.0. That's why it shouldn't be called Web 3.0. It's a dumb name. It's not even 2.5. It's just, it's really something different.
Yeah,
you know?
It is different. Yeah.
So now, is there things about Web 3.0 that are kind of interesting? Could we come up with a way to authenticate people using the blockchain? Yeah. But once that's done, is that 10,000 jobs, 100,000 jobs, 1 million jobs? No. I mean, when you look at what people are building today, they're not building everything on Web 3.0. They're just building lots of things. And then a lot of technologies are out there that are going to be built. I think Web 3.0, as big as it's going to be, AR, VR is bigger than that. So, like, because I think that's where the major screen shift is coming on. I look at Web 3.0 as the underpinnings of how things could work, but not every site really has a reason to use Web 3.0 unless we do come up with some kind of universal authentication identity solution based on blockchain. Other than that, does everything need a smart contract? Does everything need that? No, you're still building classic websites with how it's being built today. So is it worth it? It's kind of cool. Invest in Solidity, learn about Ethereum contracts, learn about how to do these things. It's great. But if you're trying to break in and you want a job with a paycheck, I think building websites is way more profitable than that's going to be right now. Now, if you're already building things and you already know how to build things, then yeah, take a look at Web 3.0. It should be the thing that you're trying to start out to do right now today, in my opinion.
That's the thing I see most common on Tech Twitter is that the question is, should I learn Web 3? And like that seems to be the that is that where I need to start? That's the question. It's like,
it's
should
very
I
specialized at this point. So what I look at people and I give people advice of how do I break into a tech career? I want to broaden your horizons. Let's go to a broad base of things so we can get a paycheck. And then once you start getting a paycheck, and even if that's building HTML sites or HTML email, you can work on your craft and expand your skill set and move into these other technologies that seemingly may pay better. Now, are there blockchain companies out there that are paying big money for things? Yes, I can tell you they're paying big money for .NET developers too. So I don't know. It's all kind of equal in my opinion. And look for the thing that has the most opportunity for you. That's just my 2 cents. But if you're bent on doing it and you just want to do that, then great. Go do it. Go for it. Start building Solidity. That's what you need to learn. But you're going to have to learn HTML because you need a front end for whatever you're going to build.
Right. Let's see. Jack Bryan, welcome back, Jack. Since I'm at the beginning stages of my coding journey, I've been doing a lot of research along with learning C#. So my question is, should I just jump straight into Blazor/WebAssembly, skipping JavaScript?
No. I think you're going to learn JavaScript no matter what. Even though we say that JavaScript is on the way out, we could see that in a 5-year or 6-year horizon or a 10-year horizon. Could you just learn Blazor, WebAssembly, C# and get a job? Technically, yes. I'd still say today if you're just starting your coding journey and you have a 6-month horizon or a 9-month horizon, you can break in with just standard web dev and then learn WebAssembly, Blazor. Now, 18 months from now, 2 years from now, will WebAssembly, Blazor be more dominant? It could be. But if I'm telling you right now today, learn ASP.NET, C# or React or something like that. Learn JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. That's what you need to know.
Hope that helps, Jack. You can't skip that JavaScript.
I don't think not right now. It hasn't been replaced quite yet. So you got to do what's current so you can get a job and then learn the next thing after you're working.
Yeah, even though we're kind of big on Blazor and WebAssembly in general, we still teach JavaScript. We teach it in the virtual bootcamp, we teach in the self-paced course, because we know that's a skill that people still need to use today, so it's going to be there. for the foreseeable.
We would do people a disservice if we only taught them Blazor at this point.
Imagine if we were just so opinionated about it, like we're just going to skip JavaScript and not teach it to you. Like that would be a terrible experience.
That's like learning just Web 3.0. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a thing. There are jobs for it, but like there's some more opportunities for these other technologies right now. So learn what's mainstream, not necessarily what's coming next when you're starting out. And then once you're employed, then learn what's next. Because you can afford to do that because you're getting paid to do it. All right, cool.
Let's see. Rathor, is it Rathor Editing? Hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It says, hello, so actually I don't have any computer science relevant degree or diploma. So I'm confused about if any company is hiring me. You not. I don't know what that means, but basically I'm guessing without a CS degree or relevant diploma, or any kind of degree, I guess, would a company hire them?
In the U.S., yes. In some other parts of the world, I don't know. But I would say that you can overcome all of that with a project with a portfolio of projects. So like if you have a portfolio of projects, you can overcome the computer science degree regardless of where you live. So if you can't afford to go to college or you don't want to go to university to get that computer science degree, and you still want to break in, well, you can't change that. So what do we do to break in? What gives me the best opportunity to do that without that? And that means that I build a portfolio of projects, I show them to an employer, and get hired. So increasingly, people are looking for these portfolios. In fact, there's sites coming out now that are building UIs on top of coding challenges. I haven't showed you this yet, but like there's a site out there where it says, what we're seeing in the hiring industry is build a coding challenge with a UI. And I'm like, man, we've been doing that for 5 years. I mean, like, it's like, you know, so like, and one of them's a mortgage calc, which I found funny. That's a good idea. I'm glad y'all thought of that, you know? So like, I've been doing that for a minute. So I think that building projects on and showing those projects is the best way to get hired. Anyway, even if you had a computer science degree, you need to be doing that so you can compete harder against anyone else interviewing for it. So good luck with that, Rathor.
Yep. Before we do the next question, one thing I forgot to talk about up front was we did, back in, December now, I think? Might have been November. We announced a scholarship program that we were doing.
Oh, yeah.
So we did hand out those scholarships yesterday. I actually emailed the 5 recipients of those scholarships yesterday and set them up with the program. I don't want to use their names as such because I think that's kind of private. They applied for a scholarship. I don't think that, but to talk about who we gave it to, I guess I can talk about that from a like abstract perspective. I guess I think that seems fair. So just to kind of briefly go over who we gave it to. We gave away 5 one-year scholarships thanks to Paytel and Apex Analytics. Again, huge thank you for sponsoring this for us. We love that. Thank you for the support. It was amazing. So it enabled us to do this. So I've heard back from 3 of them so far. I emailed them only yesterday. So they're set up with the course. So one was a person in Nairobi, Kenya, who basically just, he's never going to be able to afford the bootcamp. He's never going to be able to afford the course. Totally out of their wheelhouse. Another one was a lady in Zimbabwe who was I think she was a single mom, if I remember rightly. Again, is learning from YouTube. Wanted to transition to developer, but was never going to be able to afford it. And as a single mom in Zimbabwe, so I thought that was a good one too.
Yeah.
It's somebody from Guatemala City who's been learning on Udemy, doing free code camp stuff. I thought that one was cool too. Knows a little bit HTML, CSS. So he's now gonna, delve a little bit deeper into C#. Yeah. A guy from Croatia, I thought was cool. That was pretty interesting. Who, let me see, what was the story? Oh, was interested in Web3. So but wanted to build a Web2 foundation. I was like, okay,
right. That's good. Yeah, that's a good
choice.
Strategy,
that's actually what we're talking about.
A good strategy.
And then somebody hometown who's actually here today, who's outed himself already because he put himself on Twitter, and that's Ryan.
Ryan, okay, yeah.
Ryan thanked us for the course. So Ryan's in Wilmington, who's done some stuff before, but has followed us here, and he was also one of the recipients. So,
all right, cool. Yeah. Well, good luck to all. Ryan, just stay in touch. Tell us how it's going. See you in Discord. If you need any help there, just let us know.
Yeah, want to see some projects too.
Man, make some projects.
Okay, let's go on to some other questions here then.
Yeah, got a lot of questions there.
Let's see. Jack had another question. Speaking of research, I kind of feel silly asking you this question. That's not an issue. No silly questions. But how do I focus on learning just C# at the moment? Because I'm starting to get information overload, analysis paralysis.
Someone asked this the other day. I was in a Twitter thing the other day. Said, should I just skip all HTML and just learn C#? And and the question is, what are you trying to build? That's the thing that you want to understand, Jack. What am I trying to build? We think the best thing right now for the first-time coder, first-time job, is to learn web design or web development. And so like that involves HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Bootstrap. That is the core piece of that. And then we add a server-side language like C# after we've learned that. And so that's, if you take them in the correct order and don't bounce around, I think you're going to have a lot more information. So like there's foundational HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, then learn a server-side language like JavaScript, like C#, utilizing ASP.NET, and I think you're going to be good to go. But yeah, just start. Don't worry about what is the whole thing that I need to know and try to know. Just start learning with the basics and get going.
Mahmoud wants to know, is C# worth learning as a Microsoft Dynamics developer?
Yeah, it's used quite a bit. Platforms are good. I mean, you can make a living doing Dynamics development just like you can with Salesforce or anything like that. If you don't know, Dynamics is a CRM, accounting. It's a lot of things like Salesforce for Microsoft.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of things when people adopt this platform for their business that they want to do customizations, add-ons, port data, move things around. So it's good to know how that kind of works, integrations with it. So yes, you can make money doing that. Just like you can with Salesforce. So
yeah, which is definitely a thing. By the way, if you look up Salesforce developers, these guys can demand money. It's very niche.
Yeah.
But there seems to be quite a bit of it too. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Because they have their own language, right? So
yep, exactly. I think it's called Apex or something like that.
Yeah. Kind of crazy. Okay, Anthony's question says, thoughts on regions and tech stacks? If I wanted to work in a place like Southern California, should I focus on different tech stack where it might be more JS Node? Should I not overthink if I like C#? I like this question.
So let's just say regions. So some regions can be heavier than not. Let's broaden that out to the United States of America, the US region, then North America. I don't think you're going to go wrong learning C#. I think like every large company is running C# to some degree. Can you get a JS Node job? Absolutely. So if that's what you want to do, pick the stack that you want to learn inside that and look for the jobs available in that and roll with that. You also are not going to go wrong by learning ASP.NET and C#, building either the services with ASP.NET Web API or something like MVC. You're not going to go wrong doing that. Knowing a server-side language is never going to hurt you. So if you look for .NET developer right now, it's 15,000 jobs nationwide, probably right now, if we went and looked in Indeed right now. Yeah. And we're finding more and more opportunities every single day. Now, if we were looking for JS Node, the same thing would be true. Is it as big? Depending on the area. But C# is definitely in demand. So it's going to help you out.
Yep. And it's gonna and you should just do your research too. You do need to make that decision on like do your own research. Don't even take what we're saying. Like go look it up. Go on Indeed and look in your area and see.
Right. But just focus your learning. Focus your learning on a stack. Learn that stack and then apply to jobs that are using that stack and you'll have a better chance of interviewing. So if you're going to learn MERN, Mongo, Express, React, Node, then just learn MERN and then try to apply for MERN jobs. So,
yep. There you go. There we go. What now? Do React with TypeScript worth learning?
I think that's the way that they're all the documentation, everything that's coming out is going to be TypeScript. So yes, it's going to be how it's going to be done. Probably.
I think TypeScript is one of those things that you would say is just worth learning, right? It's
yep. Yep. For sure.
Kevin Scott says, still building my ASP.NET subscription app and trying to figure out how to set up recurring method calling to generate invoices and stuff. Any tiny bit of wisdom for him? ever set up recurring method calling to generate invoices?
I think that's a little. I'd have to know.
You
Like
got to
you could
see it,
ask
right?
that
It's
in
a little in the
Discord.
weeds, right?
Yeah. For us right here on the thing. So like, just hit us up in Discord, join the Discord, and try to put something out there, and we'll see if we can get more information to help you out.
Yep. But also had just a quick thing here too, though. So the address book on the self-paced course is completed. That's awesome, Kevin. Great experience so far. Cool, good stuff. Love to see that.
Awesome.
Love seeing people's people completing projects in there and seeing their work.
Cool.
Okay, Mela says, should I learn in 2022? Should I learn 2022 if I choose JavaScript over C#? What should I learn 2022 if I choose JavaScript over C#?
I guess you're learning JavaScript.
Yeah. I mean, you're learning Node and Express, right?
Yeah, Node, Express. Pick a stack in that realm, whether that be React, Angular. Pick one of those. Vue, either one of those three.
Yep. Okay, James, .NET or Flutter?
So he's probably talking about cross-platform mobile when you're talking about Flutter. So Flutter has some things that they're rolling out. .NET MAUI will come out probably in the next couple of months, and we'll just see how that shakes out. So pick the one you like the best, and I don't think either one. I think .NET MAUI is going to be huge. It is new at this point, so Flutter may be a good choice. If you already know C#, obviously .NET with Xamarin or MAUI is the way to go if you know C#. Flutter is Go, and if you want to make cross-platform. Those two good choices there.
We have a related question to this too from Kevin again. Says, I was approached with an amazing mobile idea. All road/random advice from devs lead to Flutter. Should I wait for .NET MAUI instead?
If you think you can build it with Flutter, then build it with Flutter. I mean, like, just build it with what you know how to do.
You've got to always go for what's now, right?
Yeah.
That's the answer to that.
So you can build it with Flutter if you want. .NET MAUI is going to be good too, but it's not ready for production quite yet.
Malar says, hello. I guess there might have been a pre-thing to this. Sorry, I must have missed it. It's currently a plumber, making 1,200 euros a month. He has no money to take code running bootcamp, so he can't learn web development. What should he do?
You're going to have to go to free code camp, learn for free, I guess.
Yeah, start with Codecademy, free code camp.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta,
There's a lot of free resources out there, YouTube.
Yep. You can be self-taught. So you don't have to go to a bootcamp. We talk about this all the time. The 3 ways: college, university, self-taught, or a bootcamp. You can do self-taught. It's going to be cheaper. You're going to have to put less money into it. You're just going to have to put more time into it.
More time and more
experience.
Yeah, and you're going to have to provide your own motivations and that kind of stuff and build out what curriculum you want to learn.
Yep.
All right, cool.
We get this question quite a bit. So, and it's not always just this part. It's always like, I'm curious, will the self-paced course have testing, user testing of some sort? We get this a lot, and it can be replace testing with myriad of other things. Does the self-paced course have X, Y, Z?
Not yet. We may do test-driven development soon. We've got a lot of things that we're building right now, and so that's further down our list just because we feel like we're trying to start at a higher level of things that you need to know to get a job. And so when you look at 20-year vets or 10-year vets, they're like, that's what I need to know. Why aren't your course doing the things I need to know? And we're really focusing on people trying to break in. So even though we do have some very high level, very difficult projects to build down on the .NET realm, you still have to know how to build something with ASP.NET at a professional level before you can even get to the testing part. So like we're still in the process of building that. So you can always get a course from Udemy on testing as well. But we'll continue to add technologies and courses to the self-paced course. In fact, you're going to see some announcements coming from us and in the near future on that kind of stuff, of new things that we're adding.
Yep, definitely. So it's on the list, but it's on the longer list, not the short list.
Yeah, it's not on the short list. .NET 6 is on the short list for sure. So like we want to get Web API out there. Yep. That's on the short list.
Yep. Cool. Here's a good question. I'm not sure we've had this question before, but how often should you update your portfolio? The look, feel, and design.
Hey, if you're happy with it, just keep rolling with it, BK. I mean, it's not like when you show it to someone, it's going to be the first time they've seen it. Now, if you feel like
there's a
it
period
looks
where it does
dated,
date itself. Yeah.
if you feel like it looks dated, then you can update a logo or update a layout or something like that. But I don't think that you need to do it every month or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Is the question is like, should you go back every month and do it? Should you go back every year and do it? Should you go back? I think the answer is probably every few years you need to look at it.
Yeah, just look at it and make sure that.
Or if you're going for a new job, make sure that it's up to date. That's the
and make sure everything still works and things like that.
So. Right. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Yeah, it can break. You're like, I haven't touched it in 2 years. You're like, yeah, it's probably broken for whatever reason. Like your hosted images are no longer there because that company now shut down or something or whatever it is. That's a common thing. Okay. We get this question a lot too. Is PHP dead? If not, do you think it is worth learning in 2022?
I don't think it's dead. So I just think there's other things you can learn. I mean, I don't think it's dead at all. WordPress development is still going to be a thing for sure. There's PHP full stack frameworks out there, so it's not dead.
Yeah, it's here right now. You can still totally learn it, and it is. You can still learn it this year. Yeah. You heard of Q Sharp before? Never heard of it. No. I've never seen a job for Q Sharp. So the question that question is kind of like, can I get a job with it? Like, I don't know. Like,
let's see.
Have to,
let's go look.
Let's go look because I've never heard of it. So I don't know if this is even going to come up with the correct kind of results. Right? That's the thing. If I just look on Indeed at Q Sharp, it's not even gonna. I don't think
just do a Google search on it and see what it is.
Let's see. I mean, it doesn't even come up. It's not even a thing at all. Here we go. So it's down here. I mean, it's like niche when it doesn't come up as the #1 result on Google.
Quantum Development Kit. No.
So, I mean, it's so niche. It's like quantum programming. I don't know, like maybe, but it's so niche. It's like,
yeah. I'm not going to insult you. We had to go look it up too. Okay, so I'm not insulting Project TG, but if you have to ask yourself the question, what is this thing, and can I get a job with it? The problem is you may have Googled it and you're like, I can't find a single thing on this. It's niche. It's too niche for you to break in with. Now, can someone else who's been coding for a minute get a job with Q Sharp? Yeah, they can go learn the next new thing, and say, hey, I want to get into quantum computing and whatever you do with Q Sharp, I want to learn that, and you can get a job doing it. But it's not their only thing in their tool belt. So.
Right, chances are, you're right. I think that's the point. Chances are they're
for
not
most
just
of
a
us
Q Sharp dev.
That are sitting out there, no, we can't get a job with Q Sharp. No, it's not as we didn't even find a job posting for it. So
yeah, I've never seen
kind of a hard, long search.
Yeah, maybe there's a certain part of the world where there is. I don't know.
Yeah, scientific communities, something like that.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a space for it. It's not common. So, Sudio wants to know how to solve bugs. Ask during duty hours. I don't know quite what that means.
I don't know. Do you solve them like when you're not at work?
How to solve bugs? No. So well, what's your process for solving a bug? Like when you run something.
A lot of times. Yeah, so you got, first off, you identify what's not working, and you have to get down to the granular thing of like what's not working. So let's say that that is approach them differently. So if it's a CSS or HTML job, then I start backing up the things to see kind of what's breaking it. If I'm in a script like JavaScript or C#, then I'm setting my debugger and I'm trying to figure out where it breaks. And then once I identify where it's breaking, then I look at the message and I try to determine, is that a syntax error? Is that some kind of like logic error or whatever I'm trying to do? And so mainly I'm just using the debugger to sit through it and see what the actual error is.
Alex, Bobby, it's funny, we talked about this.
Yeah. Alex must be listening in on our conversation.
I know. Has he got bugs planted? We seriously talked about this. I know when he comes on, it's like, we talked about this. It's like, it sounds fake, but it's totally not.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super chat, Alex. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the tacos, yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about you were in a space. You joined one of your first spaces on Sunday. right? And it was
Yeah.
like, oh, this
I
is
got
cool.
30 followers on YouTube, on Twitter in like one day, in like 2 minutes. So
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's cool.
So yes, Kevin is convincing me to do our spaces. And so we'll be looking for a collab on spaces for sure. So I'd love to talk to you about that if you want to do one. Do it together.
When I set it up, Alex, I'll let you know. You come co-host it. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But yeah, I think Spaces is great because I like the fact that it's different than this. Because while you guys can ask questions here, it's in a Twitter space, it is a little bit different because we actually get to talk to you, and I do like that too. You can kind of give feedback, and it's kind of like, and other people can answer the questions too, which I love that. I love that somebody come on and have an opinion about something, and you can we can all like learn something. I think it's great.
Sure.
I love Spaces. I've been attending that one. There's one that I do on Friday mornings with a bunch of developers from the UK, which is cool. I love that. That's the only one I've been attending a lot. Alex does his really late. It's always just like,
and maybe that's what we need to do. You know, I'm trying to do mine at like noon.
I'll see I'll get a notice the next day afterwards, and it's like, Tech Rally hosted a space. It's like, oh cool, like, oh yeah, it was like at 2 a.m. or something, and I'm like,
2 a.m. in the morning.
I'm like fast asleep by then. I'm like, I'm a boomer at this point.
Exactly.
But yes, Alex, we'll hook up on that. Definitely, we're gonna do one. I literally have it written down on my paper right here to set up a Twitter space. So yes, we will be doing that. If you want access to that too, by the way, everybody, if you want to come join us on Twitter Spaces, that's cool.
I will follow us on Twitter, and we'll get notified.
I'll be tweeting it out on the Coder Foundry account. So, or you can follow us on Twitter. You can find us both on there.
Yep.
I'm at Kevin Doyle, and you are at CT Bobby Davis.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Eduardo says, if I only have Java experience in my resume, could I get a .NET job later in my career? I like this question.
If you learn .NET, yes. So you can definitely always learn something new later in your career. So if you're making money with Java right now, then you can pick up .NET on the side for sure. Yeah, there's nothing to stop you from doing that. The syntax between Java and .NET is very similar, so it should be an easy transition. The frameworks are different, like what you can do with .NET versus what you can do with the JDK are totally different. What you call it are just kind of different, but you'll do the same kind of things, and you just got to know how is that achieved in .NET versus how it's achieved in Java. So good luck with that. I think learning .NET would be a good boost to your career if you're on the Java side right now. I think that's a good move.
Okay. I'm going to jump a little bit out of order because I like this question. Because it just came in. It says, I used to do Pascal coding back in the late 1990s. Snap, I did a little Pascal too. Is there a language similar to Pascal used today? Or what would be the best coding language to get back in the game?
I think depends on what you want to build. To figure out what are you trying to build. So is it desktop apps, mobile apps, or web apps? If you're building web apps, it's HTML and CSS, and JavaScript is the front end piece of that, and then a server-side language like C# on the back end, or Java.
I think the biggest difference here is Pascal's a functional programming language, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't really remember. I mean, I did it, but I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it is. So you're gonna. It's not object oriented. So you're gonna have to make that jump. I think that's one of the biggest leaps to take from a functional programming to object oriented programming. You're gonna have to kind of make that jump. I think to be relevant today.
Yeah. So JavaScript should be an easy transition or easier transition.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you're not building desktop, if you want to build desktop apps, you got to pick something different. So.
Yeah. Actually, speaking about that, Rich Ray said, what would be a project where F# would be better to use than C#?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not an F# expert. I've decided that I'm just going to stay in the C# object-oriented programming languages. That's where I'm going to stay.
You just haven't hit the scenario yet where you're like,
I haven't hit one where man, I just can't do that. So I haven't hit one. So, but I think it's more of a lifestyle choice where people like F# better, and I think most of it's centered around that, like how you build something, not whether something's better than the other thing or not. So there's more opportunities for C# than there is for F# right now.
Love this question. We talked about this the other day. I think yesterday we were talking about this off stream. But will frameworks like Bootstrap or jQuery be useful or add value to your web app? I saw a tweet yesterday that I had to read to you because I was like, I have to read you this tweet.
Yeah.
It was basically along the lines of, Bootstrap is useless. I haven't used it in years. Nobody uses it. It's basically a waste of time at this point. CSS frameworks are a waste of time. If you need to use one, you might as well just try Tailwind. That was the summary of this thing. And I'm like,
yeah.
Do you even code? Like
he doesn't. So like you got to understand that. So 80% of the websites are running Bootstrap. I think the adoption rate for Tailwind right now, and it could go up in 2022, but it's still
it was in the teens.
10% or something.
Yeah.
10, 12%, somewhere around there. It's like lower. So do the frameworks help you? 100% they help you, man. There is no doubt in my mind that they help you. And so like Bootstrap is built on top of Flexbox, so it can solve most of the problems that you run into. And guess what? If you need CSS grid for something, you can also use that on top of what you're doing. So it's not like it's an either or situation. And in fact, the thing that I'm working on right now is mostly built in Bootstrap, but I also use a lot of Flexbox situations when the case warrants it. And you'll see that coming out in the self-paced course soon. So I'm still a big believer in Bootstrap. Now, jQuery is different. jQuery is built on top of JavaScript, and it solved problems that JavaScript couldn't do when it first came out.
Yeah.
And since then, JavaScript has increasingly added to what JavaScript can do in what we call vanilla JavaScript. And so that has kind of displaced jQuery in a lot of cases because people are moving towards more vanilla JavaScript because they like that better than jQuery. So jQuery is definitely on the slide down, though there's still a lot of sites using it. Tons of people are using jQuery. It's still being used. And then there's some scenarios where jQuery has some really great plugins that aren't easily found in just a pure JavaScript vanilla situation. So I think either or of these can be good, though I do think we teach vanilla JavaScript in the course, and that's where we've planted our flag on JavaScript. And additionally, TypeScript is another thing that we can also add to this list. Is that useful? But you can do everything you want to do with vanilla JavaScript, and you can build a site to make it look like however you want with Bootstrap, you know?
Yep.
And a lot of people talk about like, yeah, but every time I look at a Bootstrap site, they all look the same. And I'm like, well,
you're doing it wrong.
People don't, they just don't, well, number one, like they just don't think through like, how could I change this? And they're just using it out of the box.
That's true.
The point is you can get it out of the box and it's easy and it looks really functional. It looks great. Yeah. But you can change the navbar. Doesn't have to be, 2121 dark on white. I mean, you can make that blue or red or pink or put a gradient back there, whatever you want to do. But then again, you don't want to change up the mechanics so much where people can't even recognize and try to find your links. And so there's nothing wrong with a navbar being a dark navbar across the bottom of the top of your page or on the left. There's nothing wrong with that. So
I would also say at this point, like Bootstrap and jQuery both use legacy. I would say new projects, Bootstrap, yes. jQuery, no.
Yeah, you're right, exactly. I definitely think
that.
And the reason we teach Bootstrap 2 in the course is because when you move over to ASP.NET and some of these templates that get generated out of there, guess what they're using? Bootstrap. And so Bootstrap is a very modern CSS framework. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not craptastic like a lot of people think. It's actually really good. And you can build whatever you want with it. It just has opinionated components where Tailwind doesn't. And Tailwind has more opinionated on like how you write it. So you end up with a ton of these class names everywhere. So it's however you want to do it. And I think that to me, I think Bootstrap has a lot more choices for you.
Red Sanitors, why does Bootstrap seem to be frowned upon on other channels? They advocate strongly knowing CSS inside and out. I would say, or Tailwind is the other thing they actually advocate for too.
So here's what I think, Brent. I mean, I think that I don't know why. I don't know why people want to make CSS the primary thing you need to know how to do. Where they want you to learn right down to animations. I'll be honest with you right now. If I had to go and figure out how to animate something in CSS, I am relearning that right now. I'm Googling that right now because that is not my day-to-day operations. And that's coming from someone who knows how to do things like Premiere and After Effects. So even me would have like a little bit of a head start. Like, okay, I understand what a keyframe is. I understand how that works. But I don't know how to do that in CSS. And normally I wouldn't want to. So So then what you need to know in CSS, I think, is the box model, understanding like how things are laid out. Then you go into selectors, if you can select things, and then know 10 or 20 of the basic properties and things that I want to change, like a background, a border, font size, how that kind of works. Then after that, implement Bootstrap. Boom, you can make a website really fast. So most people aren't paying you to sit around and mess around with CSS on the inside and out when they just need the website done. And that's why we say, hey, use Bootstrap, maybe use a template, knock it out, get to the business aspect of what you're trying to build. And you don't need to make everything with CSS. Now, and I had a slight argument on Twitter about a guy's CSS art. And I'm like, why? Like, what are you doing, man? Like, I understand. And they were like, well, you don't understand art. I'm like, I get it, but like, I don't understand why you're using CSS to do said art. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. I mean, like, so you can use a paintbrush too. I mean, like, it seems to be a better tool for that job.
Oh, that's funny.
Just saying, I mean,
at some point, we are going to add a CSS kind of course.
Yes.
We have talked about this. We're going to have kind of like what you talked about. We're going to have like what you kind of maybe should know in CSS, and then we're going to have a part where it's like the nice to know stuff.
Right.
It's more of a reference, right? Because it's like when you get into animations and there's a bunch of other stuff like gradients, like they're all nice to know, and you can look them up. Like you can look these things up, drop shadows.
And it's like,
drop shadows. It's like
you could make a 3-week course on box shadows in CSS. You're like, ooh, I want to know how to do that. You're like,
right.
Or you could go to a website where they've already been defined and just bring in that kind of code. Same thing with gradients. Do we need to know everything about how to make a really cool gradient and the different things that we can do? Yeah, I mean, like, so if the most part. That's been solved. Go do that and then solve the thing that you're actually trying to do, which is build a website that does something. And I think most people spend years learning CSS inside and out, and then they get on the job and like, no one cares. Just modify this Bootstrap template. It's like, I want to change the background color from blue to red. You're like, wow, I spent all my time in CSS, and I'm not animating anything. That's right.
It's funny, I did see a tweet the other day of somebody saying they'd spent a year learning CSS and it had literally paralyzed them into moving past it.
Yeah.
It literally paralyzed them into like learning everything about CSS, and they felt after a year like they still didn't know it all. I'm like, well, of course you don't. Like it's deep.
I learn stuff new every single day, so like there's selectors is the main thing. The box model selectors is the two main things. And then
layout is important.
Layout, if you want to, which most of it's solved by Bootstrap, and then you can use the Flexbox utilities on top of that. That'll get you 98% of anything you want to do ever. And then the properties that you can change: border, font sizes, background colors, that kind of stuff. Knowing how all that kind of works, and then throw in some media queries every now and then as well. And then I think you can move on. You don't need to know everything there is to know.
This just kind of for instance, I gotta build everything from scratch. I'll start with the power supply for a computer.
Exactly.
But here's the other thing, though. You don't build the power supply, do you? You don't start start winding cables. You know what I mean? Like you buy the power supply. Like
you're not opening up a copper mine. What are you doing? Well, I need some copper cable, so I'm gonna mine some copper first. You got to start somewhere. I mean,
yeah, that's it. Let's see what else. How can we jump to junior level to mid or senior level easily? Any suggestions?
Commitment to craft. Do a good job in your junior level job. Learn as much as you can. Commitment to craft, and then keep building projects on the side. And then you're just going to move up with experience. It's just going to take time to learn everything that you need to know to even go to middle to senior. But you should be able to do that in
if you continue
2 to 3 years.
Exactly. If you just continue to learn, the answer is just time. But the answer isn't time if you don't learn either, don't forget. You don't just automatically wake up one day and you're like, man, I've been here for 5 years. Boom, I'm a senior. Like, that's not how it works.
You need to stay committed to your craft. That's what I think.
Yep. Let's see what else we got here. Let's just do this real
We got a
quick.
minute.
Yeah, Spencer's
Yeah.
Bootcamp. Please interview Bill Gates one day. Any thoughts? Although it's
Yeah,
not
get on that, Kevin. Book
I'll
it.
just I'll send that out. The biggest person from Microsoft we're ever likely to get here, we have had here, was Scott Hanselman, and
Yeah,
Scott's
I
awesome.
think that's great.
Scott's sort of in
I
our
mean,
wheelhouse
really,
a little
let's
bit
just
more,
go
so,
for
yeah.
Nadella. I mean, he's the current guy. I mean, like, let's just get Nadella in here. I'm sure he's not busy.
Yeah, we don't have MKBHD cred, right? We're not
Right,
we're not
exactly.
that good. He got to interview Bill Gates. We're not we're not that.
We would like to interview MKBHD though.
That would be cool. I'd love to speak to MKBHD
yeah,
like
exactly.
any day.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love what he does. Let's see. Let's do this one last one. Should I be very good in JavaScript to learn React?
I think so. I think you need to learn at least not. And so, again, don't paralyze yourself by saying, I need to know everything there is about JavaScript before I could learn React. But it would be nice to understand, like, how selectors work, like get my element by ID and how all those things work. How do I manipulate the DOM with JavaScript? Basic loops and constructs, for loop, if then else statements, logic operators. Those are the things that you need to know, the basics of JavaScript. Build 4 or 5 projects in JS and then move on to React. And that way you can start understanding like the problems React solves, which is basically around the templating of your site. Like, how do I get things to show up in my HTML? How do I manipulate the DOM? So like, I think you'll be better served by learning a little bit of JavaScript first, building some UI projects. That's why we teach vanilla, because we don't necessarily want to tie ourselves to React or Angular, but you can learn it once you understand JavaScript.
It's funny. Just one last thing. Our previous conversation reminded me of something. Like, I would have said I was probably this way before Foundry, and it's somebody who I'm talking about the power supply thing again. But
yeah, exactly.
But sometimes we feel like we need to understand everything. And we've seen students that come to the bootcamp that way, and they struggle. It's often they really, really struggle, and they're sat there with 8 books on their desk, and when the teacher mentions something, they're looking it up, right? Or they're Googling something for a definition of something and trying to understand like all the way down to the metal. And it's like, there may be a point in time for that, but that comes over time. It's certainly not the way that you need to start. I would have said that I was that kind of learner before Foundry. I'm like, oh, I need to understand all the stuff. But I came to realize that you actually don't. You can abstract a lot of stuff. Bootstrap being an abstraction of CSS, you can abstract things. Exactly.
And just do it. And move on from there. And that's where you have to go. And then as your experience develops, you start learning things like, oh, okay, I get that. So we don't need to go into the underpinnings of HTTP to be able to explain to you like how to build a website, because it's like, it's behind the scenes.
It's nice to know.
And so I'm sure there's people screaming at the TV showing stuff right now, like, yeah, you've got to understand that. That's what's wrong. But it's not something you need to understand today is what I'm saying. Like today, right now, there's only so much I can do during the day and what I can learn. And where do I start? We'll start with JavaScript and let's learn how that kind of works. And then if you need to understand like what's going on between a web server and a client at a fundamental level, JSON, all that kind of stuff. Well, maybe you'll get there too. Eventually, there's always a time and a place to learn everything.
There you go. So this Jack says exactly this. Yeah, that's me. I feel like I have to know everything to get a job, and you don't.
You don't.
We will tell you now.
No one knows everything anyway. No one knows everything anyway.
You know enough. You need to know enough to build some stuff and get the job.
Yep.
That's the thing. Yep. I just think there's a lot of people that do get stuck in this space. I see it all the time.
They do paralyze.
Things that people say,
themselves.
Exactly. They paralyze themselves by feeling like they do need to know everything. And we're here to tell
you. It doesn't help when there's a group of people out on Twitter and tech Twitter and everything that reinforce this idea. A lot of times, like, they forget what it was like when they were a junior, and they're sitting on top of Mount Olympus, and they're like, "I can't believe you don't understand what a closure is. What's your problem? Are you an idiot?"
Right, you need to learn that.
Hey, I'm just trying to manipulate the DOM here, man. I just want to put my password in the box. That's all I want to do. Do I need to understand anything else about that right now? No, you can start with small concepts first and expand your knowledge. So
If that wasn't the case, these tools wouldn't exist, and we'd all be writing in assembly language still, or
exactly.
with straight up binary stuff. Like the tools are there to help. You know, because nobody understands how that works these days, right? If you take it to the nth degree, it's like with the copper mine. It's the same thing. You don't understand how your computer reads ones and zeros. Do you have to know that to make a website? No,
you don't.
Is it underlyingly there? Yes. Plenty of people do understand it, and maybe some people do, but you don't have to understand it to build a website.
Yeah. And then there's the super boomer, and he says, and that's why no one knows how the pyramids were built, because they didn't take the time to write it down to understand how it worked. We're like, yeah, it's forgotten knowledge. We get it.
Oh, well. I don't think, well, I'll tell you now, we're definitely not in an age of forgotten knowledge. We're in the age of, like, over knowledge, right? This knowledge is going to live forever, unfortunately. Yeah, cool. Okay.
All right.
We'll be back
see you on Thursday, guys. Thanks for all the questions. Sorry we didn't get to them all, but we will be here next Thursday, 12 noon.
Yeah, we do this for those of you here for the first time, because I see some of you I haven't seen before. A lot of you have.
Yep.
You know, we come here every Tuesday, Thursday at noon Eastern time. If we didn't get to your question, I apologize. Come back again Thursday. The earlier you ask the question, the more likely we are to get to it. We always queue up hundreds of questions and then get to half of. So that's
and then super chat us if you're real important. If it's really something you gotta know, we'll try to get it to it that way.
There you go. So we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Keep coding, guys. See you.